welcome back. This is the 2012 Board Budget Work Session. It's now 1 o'clock p.m. We reconvene, and we have the Honorable Judge Sidney with us here. And we're going to go to tab number 9 for the Commissioners. Commissioner Van Ness is on the way back in. She should be here in a little while. We can go ahead and go forward. Jeff, you want to present to us?
Well,
she have all the paperwork there.
I can easily slide that over.
No, you can slide it, but it won't be easy.
Our budget pretty much is very simple. There's really not a whole lot of changes there. The professional services, of course, is our attorney's fees and doctor's fees and things of that nature. We have noticed a substantial increase this year. I'm sure this is the first time in 19 years in Superior Court, 5 years in State Court. This is the first time I think that I'll leave my budget in the red. And I hate it, but the attorney's fees have just been astronomical. And we've got a murder trial coming up Monday week. What's that next Monday? It's Monday, which is going to require 2 certified interpreters who are very expensive. But we're doing the best to keep it under control, and I didn't increase a whole lot the professional services. If I did at all, I'm sorry I got the wrong piece of paper in front of me, but hopefully we'll be able to keep it within that range next year. This is, like I said, it's the first time this has ever happened. So hopefully it'll be okay next year. The technical services are our court reporters. That has been sufficient this year. The repairs and maintenance that's another story. We're noticing problems day in and day out. We've just replaced our sound system, which came from funds that we had in our budget. There were no extra funds given to us. We didn't know this was going to happen. The sound system went completely out in the courtroom. We had to pull together $6,000 to $7,000 to replace that system. Unfortunately, it worked beautifully the first month or so. Now we're having interference again.
After you've replaced it.
Yeah, after we've replaced it. We're having
problems. That was fixed over the weekend.
Was it fixed over the weekend?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a loose wire.
Okay, they're coming in tomorrow to
well, it worked fine this morning.
All right, we'll get it straightened out. The day our sound system was fixed, our copier went out. We chose to get a copier out of surplus. We've been using it. It is a struggle every day to use that copier. We're going to have a copier come the first of the year, a copier, fax machine, printer. I just don't believe this machine will last. When it was installed, I was told it would last for maybe 1 year. I don't believe it's going to make it. Another thing we have come across, even since we did our budget, is interpretation equipment. Having to have interpreters in the courtroom next week has opened our eyes that our courtroom is not set up to use multiple interpreters. If you don't use certified interpreters, who are your more expensive interpreters? There are next then qualified interpreters. If you use the qualified interpreters, you have to record everything they say. You also have to have devices that they speak into to keep the sound from interrupting the judge and what he's doing. We don't have any of that. We're borrowing their equipment for this particular trial from the state court judge, Judge Bills, and she's been very gracious in allowing this. However, they've got a conflict. They need this equipment themselves on Wednesday to do traffic court.
How much is that cost?
We had a quote anywhere from the very minimal stuff, what was about $800 or $900.
Well, we could rent it. Is that what you're talking about?
That was about $700 if we rented it. $900 if we did the very bare minimum. But if we want to put in a system that actually works with our sound system, that does the job like it's supposed to do, it's right at $3,000. We chose to use this because it was last minute. I just couldn't pull it together. We chose to use the certified court reporters, and we will not have to record them, but they are coming from Macon and Athens in order to be here, and I've got to pay them mileage on top of their daily fees or hourly fees.
All that's court ordered by the Supreme Court. That's not something we can do or not do.
How much what's this machine called again? A $3-5 machine?
It's a recording system. It goes into the central sound system, and you record the interpreter speaking for the witness. You record the interpreter speaking for the defendant, and sometimes that'll all be occurring at the same time. And so if you don't have the more highly qualified interpreters, you're required to record it. So we're not recording, and this is a murder case. This is the guy who's accused of shooting somebody 22 times.
I believe it was in the chairman's neighborhood.
In the chairman's backyard over there. But anyway, that's where the
you don't mind him drop by and see us Monday.
Anyway, that's what it's all about. And we've got some more coming. I don't know how many more will be. I think I got 5 or 6 more murder cases probably in the next 6-7 months. So we'll see where it goes. But it just costs more money.
Other than that, the rental of equipment, which all that is a water cooler in the office. The communications, everything is wonderful. Travel, no problem. Dues and fees. The dues and fees do include my bailiffs, which, of course, the court's busier. The number of times I need bailiffs increases. And it is now $70 per day per bailiff.
We don't get them every day. Those
we don't.
Those are the part-time bailiffs.
It is, and our courtroom is so large that sometimes I feel like we may use too many bailiffs, but it's actually necessary because we have one bailiff going down to the clerk's office with individuals while others are sitting there with the judge, and it's just a lot of responsibility in the courtroom. The education and training at this point, Sharon McGuire is our law clerk. She has to have her hours in, and this year they have opened back up the secretary's hours for us to get hours, which takes a little bit of money for housing.
Training hours.
Right.
Sharon is a lawyer.
Yeah.
So she's mandated to get continuing legal education just like any other lawyer.
Right. And then they did the same thing to secretaries a couple of years ago, and then they waived it, and then this year it's coming back. So I get the opportunity to go off and learn a little bit. General supplies and materials, we are doing fine with the $5,000. The books and periodicals the money's there, but because we're having to stretch it so far, I guess y'all know exactly where I'm coming from. It's been extremely tight, and we just didn't make it this year, but in hopes that things will work a little bit better next year. We're not asking for a substantial increase. The biggest is the copier, wanting to get it in, and hopefully with what I've already asked for, we'll be able to squeeze out a little bit of money, and we may not be able to install the whole $3,000 interpretation system, but maybe we can get started.
So you're looking at a $15,000 bump in the whole budget? Is that what that means? 15,740 over there change.
Yeah, I think it's
18.
18. All right, $18,000.
So your budget is not a really big substantial increase, 1%, 2%. But the dollar that the conversation has been, how much you kind of elaborate on that just a little bit, Nation, if you would, and Devin, is that the request came in this morning from the district attorney's office, and we'll be dealing with the public defender shortly here thereafter, and then probably the court's coming down tomorrow, today. Just could you kind of explain to the commissioners, Commissioner Fennis, if you'll be coming, the rationale for the calendar shift and change, so they can get a better feel for the actual.
Well, 2 or 3 different reasons. One is the way the calendar works now. I'm winding up maybe every month. I got about a week. I don't have anything to do. I'm sitting there. I'm bored. And I'm going to change that because we got 550 to 600 people in the county jail. And a lot of those people could be out of jail if our calendars, mine and Judge Irwin's, were arranged differently. And I'm going to change mine. He doesn't want to change his, which is fine. So that we can get more people in the courthouse in a more timely fashion. And primarily it's coming out of the DA's office. The DA, I don't think, is laid down on the job at all. I'm not saying that one bit. But we have people from time to time, and I had 6, I think, when I called my calendar, ran my calendar last week, that had been in jail. Why are you in jail? Well, I got a shoplifting, or I got some minor theft, or I got something. How long you been in jail? 60, 90 days. And as soon as they get to court on that first arraignment day, they plead out. Well, that's $40 a day y'all don't have to spend for the people that we get out early. And the way it all works out is that I will be increasing my trial availability time by about double. It was generally about double. Instead of having 10 weeks, we're going to have 20. What was you got the numbers? It was going to go from total in terms of days. Right now, we've got 50 days that are available for criminal jury trials. When I changed my calendar, I'm shifting from the last 2 weeks of the month to the first 2 weeks of the month. For criminal cases, it goes up to 100 days. I can double the number of days. And the more people I can get in there, the quicker I get in there, the less people you're going to have in jail. That's from a financial point of view. The other point of view is it's not right, in my mind, for people to be sitting in jail and be locked up and have loss of freedom simply because the system is too slow to get them up here. That's not right. I mean, we need to change that. And what needs to happen, a lot of things need to happen, but my own personal opinion is the DA needs 2 more lawyers. Public defender needs about 2 lawyers. And I don't see a whole lot of need for a whole lot more. Because all I'm doing is changing from the last 2 weeks to the first 2 weeks. And I think a lot more cases will be moved through. The last 2 weeks will still be civil cases that I'll have. And when I don't have civil work, if I know at the first of the month that I've got my criminal cases coming in, if I got any hanging over that first 2 weeks, then I got the last 2 weeks of the month. If I don't have any civil cases where I can slide those criminal cases in, I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on the criminal side of the court. Because we have a lot more killings, rapes, robberies, you name it, we got it. And what I told the chairman the other day, and I'll say it to this commissioner, and I wish the other one was here, what the words I used was, y'all need to get off your fanny building your courthouse. We got to have one. And you get behind every day on the difficulty of doing it. I know you can't do it now because of the financial situation. But some preliminary plans and some real concrete steps need to be taken to do that. We're in trouble in the courthouse in terms of space. First question, well, we'll give you two additional lawyers. Where are you going to put them? You're going to be putting them in closets. I don't know where they'll go. We'll find somewhere to go put them where they can work. But we're getting to be a real problem in the courthouse. And y'all need to be very aware of it.
So, Judge, your whole motive behind this is to clear up those folks that are sitting in the jail.
Absolutely.
We talked with the DA earlier this morning, and I don't know what the clerk of court is going to present us in terms of the financial impact in her department, but at minimum, from Mr. Reed's presentation this morning, about 5 additional people in terms of personnel.
Well, now, you always ask for this, hoping you'll get that.
The way he petitioned his case, he said he ain't going to be able to do it.
Look, he's a very good prosecutor and a very good advocate, okay? That's all I'm going to say. It needs to... we're going to get to the point where one of these days somebody's going to walk in and we're going to have a real problem, not getting these people through. And I don't want to have to let out some murderers, killers, and rapists and robbers. The court is authorized, technically, once they stay there 45 days and are not indicted, the court's authorized to let them go, turn them loose. And I've got a list of about 30 right now that I've got in there that's been there more than 45 days without being indicted. And it's not just Rockdale County. It's, I can't get the DNA from the state for 6 months, or I can't get it for 8 months, or I can't get this certified, you got a car, go over and get it. It's every excuse in the world. It's systemic inertia. You know what I'm talking about? That's exactly what it is. We've been doing it this way for 16, 18 years. Judge Vaughn started it. We've continued it. And it's worked fine until we get to the point where the crime rate is simply going to overwhelm the system. Because the system's not moving forward at the rate that crime is.
And it just so happened to be at a time when
for money's tight, I understand.
Money is just extremely tight, and the burden that it puts on this whole process. Again, I agree with what you try to do in terms of letting those folks out of the jail over there and moving on through the system. It's just trying to figure out where we're going to find the money to make it happen.
Well, it's a priority decision, and that's up to the Board of Commissioners what you want to spend your money on. You're going to spend it on this, or you're going to spend it on that. And what's really important to this county, when people start walking into retail outlets and get killed before they come out the front door, maybe we need to put some money on some things that really count to folks. But that's up to y'all. That's your job. So you're getting down to the coconut now.
Chuck, let me ask you, because you mentioned this will move you mentioned the number 550 and 600 in the jail. So this strategy then basically reduces those numbers, should reduce those numbers.
Just the thing, and nobody can guarantee what it's going to do, because nobody's got a crystal ball that'll accurate. I got a crystal ball, but it doesn't always work. But the point is, take 20 people. Let's say we could take 30 people a month. Just we could keep 30 people a month out of our jail. How much money is that? Anybody got a calculator? 30 a month. You're spending $40. You're spending $40 a day on all 30 of them. How much is that? $1,200 a day.
Yes.
Times 30 days is what? $36,000 a month. Times 12 months is how much? $400,000. Now that's all it takes. Is just that number. If we could reduce that daily average in that jail by 30 people a day, that's how much money hopefully it would save. Now it ain't gonna work out quite that simply, because y'all don't start to get reimbursements. Let's say somebody comes to the fair and I hear the case, they get sentenced, but they don't get out. They're gonna stay in jail. If they're a state prisoner after 45 days, y'all start to get $22 or $25. I think it's $22 a day for them. You're supposed to. So the sooner you start getting that money, the sooner you start reducing your cost. Even though they don't get out of jail, just getting them processed quicker gets you on the gravy train, because it ain't gravy, it gets you on the crumb train for $22 a day, that much sooner. So it depends on how you calculate it, but I think it would be, here again, it's just a systemic stagnation. And you can sit where you are and just bump along, and it's not going to get any better, and it's not going to get any better, and then what's the old saying? What is it? Pound foolish and penny short, or penny short and pound foolish. I don't remember what it was now. By not spending a little money, you're not saving a lot of money.
And tell me, for the residents in the community, what it means that we'll have a quicker calendar. Does it mean safer community because we're able to?
Well, no, I can't. I'm not going to say safer, but now you're looking at it from the point of view of the residents in the community, and that's fine. But what about those poor suckers sitting out there in jail that ought not to be in jail? Mm-hmm. What about their point of view? Mm-hmm. All right? Those are the ones that are being affected. They're going to get out of jail someday. One of these days. It's just how much y'all going to spend to keep them in there until they get out.
Right.
The district attorney made a comment the other day, and I appreciate him. He's a good advocate. He said, well, I want to keep some of those people in jail 90 days, 100 days. I don't want to get them out too quick. Well, it ain't up to him when they get out. Okay? And if I was him, I'd have the same position. That's his job, put folks in jail. But it's the justice system's job to do justice, not just keep folks in jail. So, how much is justice worth in a community? And as split as this community is right now, along racial lines, justice is worth a whole lot in terms of just civil civility, I guess you could say. But there's a lot at stake when you really sit down and think about it. It's not just, are we going to be happy if you do this? You're not going to keep the public happy all the time.
You honestly think there's a great divide there?
I honestly do. I think this county right now is divided further right now than I've seen it in 40 years.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is? Some decisions y'all have made. Some decisions people on the outside have made. That's why. I hadn't seen it this bad in this county in 40 years. Race is starting to pervade the courthouse. It's starting to pervade jury trials. It's starting to pervade everything that goes on in this county. People are looking at it wrongfully when they do, but that's what's happening. What's the word? Polarized? We're becoming more and more polarized. And it saddens me a great deal to see that happen. But it's happening.
Well, John, we certainly appreciate that and your comments and your input. But this move here I like to see this community come together as a community about unity. And there is a tremendous increase in diversity in this community, which is going to probably continue. And there are those of us or those folks that just don't want to see that, and it is creating a divide. So you're absolutely correct. We are one community, and it's our objective to continue to build one community. But that means we got to start sharing. That means we got to start thinking a little differently in your thought process in terms of increasing your criminal calendar by 20 week to 20 week, from 10 weeks to 20 weeks, but at the same time decreasing your civil calendar from 10 weeks to 4 weeks.
That's because I don't have that much civil business. See, we have a state court in this county. She does a lot of civil cases, smaller civil cases. And that's great. I'm glad we do. Every county ought to have a state court. Then we could deal with what we need to deal with. But I have, to this point, lawyers, I've been here so long, lawyers know how I think, pretty much. And, they know what the facts of the case are. They know what the evidence is going to show. And 9 times out of 10, they'll settle the cases. Mm-hmm. And it won't get to a jury trial. And that's great that they don't. But most of my civil stuff is settled outside. I spend more time in motions and just hearing lawyers argue than we do actually trying cases. Most of the cases that I try now are people who are they're not familiar with the court system. They may be from out of the county. Maybe somebody just moved in and they're getting a divorce or whatever. And they just don't know what the word is. Let's put it that way.
When we pull a civil trial calendar together after we pre-try the cases and get it to the trial stage, we only have maybe 14, 15 cases to put on a jury trial calendar. And when we get to the courtroom, that just disappears.
They settle. A lot of times they do. I got a good medical malpractice case coming up. It'll be in May. It's going to last 2 weeks. Something like that. It's good to try, enjoy trying. But these cases where, I got John Doe and Sally Smith, and neither one of them's got a lawyer. They got 6 kids, neither one of them's working. And they, mama wants $10,000 a month for her children, and daddy ain't got any money to start with. And they want a jury trial on something like that,
Judge Nation, you mentioned that the district attorney was here earlier today. He spoke about 2 district attorneys, and he spoke about a legal secretary and an investigator that's just on that side. The 5th person in there is what would still remain on the DUI side, which is 5. And I know he does a good job. He's an advocate for his piece, and he has not, in his words, has not increased his personnel over the last.
It's been a long time since the DA's been in here asking for money. Same thing, I suppose, with the public defenders, and both of them are very conscientious about spending money, where they spend it, and how they spend it, and such as that. I noticed the other day, I don't know how they're going to do it, but the Bar Association was trying to pass something that said that what are conflicts now, the public defenders are representing, let's say 3 people commit a crime, all three of them need a public defender. Public defenders try to represent them. It turns out this one says, no, I didn't do it, he did. No, he did. So you have a conflict between the defendants. Well, they can't represent all three of them right now because of those conflicts. They try to change the rules to save money to say, well, yes, you can. It won't be a violation of the rules to do that. Well, that's an effort to save money, but I don't know whether it makes a whole lot of sense or not. But right now, we're under the rules we're under. And they've been very good about not trying to get out of cases unless it was just imperative that they do so. It's just to the point where how long do you go with the same old horse?
Now, with these additional cases that will be heard, is there revenue from those cases? The
only revenue will be if you get to save anything by getting them through court.
Okay.
And getting them out like I've explained. As far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, y'all don't jump out of your chair. But it's not my job to raise money. It's my job to do justice.
That's right.
And that's what I do.
And we appreciate it.